Turns out that's not true. But regardless, he has a good background of integrity and really exposing corruption and bucking corruption and giving the information, working with General Dempsey, to the Russians 4 years ago when he was the head of Defense Intelligence. He was the head of Defense Intelligence just a year and a half ago. He got fired by Obama for that, folks. I mean, they weren't about to arrest him for espionage because the whole military went in and confronted Obama and said, you're backing al-Qaeda and ISIS doing this. Is it okay if we share intelligence with people to stop them? And Obama's like, well, if you drop flyers 2 hours before and it's only certain areas, and the Russians kept publishing the satellite photos of the hundreds of trucks an hour lined up going into Turkey and said, we're going to blow that up. And they started blowing it up, and Turkey flipped out and started, you know, shooting down Russian aircraft. I mean, this is a circus, folks. But Trump's got good instincts. Trump's the guy in the arena. Trump is the guy that turned down Adelson's $200 million to take Gingrich. If he does a curveball and picks Gingrich, that's one strike for Trump. But I'm waiting to see what he does once he gets in. But he just keeps amazing me. I mean, he's just done things right down the line that are unprecedented, super courageous, super dangerous. He wants to basically downgrade NATO that's running around starting wars and backing the Arab Spring and really trying to start a new Cold War. They're trying to bankrupt Russia. And, you know, Trump talks about it. He has a lot of generals advising him that they have a bunch of pork barrel, a bunch of weapons that don't work. We're giving the Chinese everything we got. He says, don't worry, we're going to have real weapon systems. We're going to be the strongest, but we're not going to start wars with Russia, and we're not going to let China get the secrets. Because it's the Chinese that have infiltrated. It's the Chinese that are in our defense intelligence system. They're the ones robbing everything. They're the ones with mobile execution vans. They're the communists. They're in bed with Walmart and the billionaires and the oligarchs, screwing everyone. They're the enemy. Not the Chinese people. But the Communist Party of China is the most... Every science fiction movie you go see, the Chinese run the space program and run the world, basically. The new Independence Day, the Martian movie. I mean, man, you go see movies now. I mean, there's Chinese government red flag propaganda everywhere, running the planetary government. I've seen basically any movie I see that's military or space, the Chinese are running it. I mean, this country's in trouble, folks. I have a stack of news articles here in front of me where students mildly criticizing people on their own Facebook are being threatened or being kicked out of major colleges. There's two more today. There was one just yesterday. And Paul Watson's written a new article for Infowars.com. Black Lives Matter organizer triggered by white people demands money for being a fat black bitch. That's a quote. Be ready to write checks and give up your car keys. And what it is just lazy, crazy social justice warriors. I don't care if you're black, white, or whatever, that are in their own fantasy land and see every major media outlet, movies, TV shows, the White House, blaming the police. Well, white people better listen up, Hillary said. Obama said we need to reform things. Implying it's the police fault someone randomly went and shot him. It's not right if a crazy cop shoots somebody innocent, and it's not right if another crazy person goes and shoots 5 cops. Then they say it's racist to say all lives matter. That's an inversion of reality. That's the opposite of racism, is to say all lives matter. It's racist to say black lives matter only. But the issue here is this is weaponization of media. This is the next phase of what the globalists are going to do in this country. With the UN advising and setting up meetings to watch the police in every U.S. city. Meanwhile, Trump is reportedly, according to sources at Fox and sources at The Hill, it's going to be Pence, the governor of Indiana. We're going to be going over that at the bottom of the hour, taking your phone calls. We're going to be talking to Bernie Sanders supporters. I mean, why would you now not go for Trump? I mean, the whole establishment's against him. You claim you're anti-establishment. What a joke. The truth is, you like a big government, don't you? You just want a piece of it. Now, joining us to the bottom of the hour is James O'Keefe, ProjectVeritas.com, best-selling author, I think the consummate investigative journalist. I'm not going to go over all of his amazing feats with his crew, bringing down Acorn, you name it. He is leading expert on fighting social justice warriors. But they have gone into an overdrive level. They've got some calculus at the White House where they believe they're going to win. He also has a new video with a congressman admitting, oh, no, we're going to have guns. I mean, we're not going to say that our homes are gun-free zones. No, just the schools and places. So we're going to play a clip of that video. The full video is on Infowars.com, ProjectVeritas.com. In fact, we have a short clip of that I want to go ahead and play right now. Hidden cam shows anti-gun congressmen and staffers refusing to promote homes as gun-free zones. Here it is.
We're called the Citizens Get Senseless Gun Violence.
Yes.
Nice. Basically, we want to see a ban on all
yeah.
And specifically, we want to put this in people's, in every single law, and people don't have guns, and say, this home is probably gun-free.
I never even thought of this angle. This is almost, I'm a big gun control advocate, but this is like a new angle I hadn't thought of that makes me almost nervous. Like,
you think somebody would break into your house?
Yeah,
if you put it up?
I do kind of wonder.
You think it'd make you a victim?
I wonder.
Wow.
So that's, we'll get into the whole story with him right now and then talk about the bigger picture. Great to have you on with us.
Hey, Alex, great to be with you.
Well, I tell you, you want to tackle this story first or just get into the state of the activation of what I'd call like Mao youth brigades or something, this day of rage coming up tomorrow? This is crazy.
Well, maybe let's start with this gun-free zone story because I think it plays into the hypocrisy of our elected officials and they're not believing what they actually write in the legislation. So maybe let's start there.
Yeah, tell us who the players are in this video.
So this is an interesting one. We did this 4 years ago in New York, Westchester, New York. We caught people on tape. The idea is simple. Approach these individuals and say, I want to put a sign on your lawn saying your home is a gun-free zone because these guys are anti-gun. Of course, they would do that because they write legislation. So what you're seeing right now is this guy is working for John Conyers. He's a legislative aide. He writes legislation. His name is Eric Sperling. And he says in the video that you can see the wheels turning inside of his head. He says, I'm a big gun control advocate. This is a new angle I hadn't thought about before. It makes me nervous. It makes me, quote, a target for criminals. So these legislators, these congressional people, are on video saying that it would draw attention to their homes if they advertise them as gun-free zones. Now, this is obvious to me and you. It's obvious to our audience, but to see the Democratic legislators say this when confronted with the truth, I think is really groundbreaking. And I'm sure people have other ideas, but this is a start. They're actually saying, you know what? I don't know if this is such a good idea to advertise gun-free zones.
Well, obviously, it's common sense. The places that have all the gun laws have the highest crime rates in the world. They know this. I mean, the rich elite that are liberal all have got bodyguards. It's so hypocritical. I love the fact that Trump keeps saying, hey, give up your security, Hillary. I mean, it's an oxymoron. What point do you think, just as someone that's been following this so long, and what point have we reached? Are the social justice warriors and Black Lives Matter, and of course, we have a longer clip with Rangel coming out and talking. I mean, do they actually believe anything they're saying, or is this just pure divide and conquer?
I do not think they believe most of what they're saying. I wrote a column, Drudge linked to it on Friday after the shootings last week. We are entering uncharted territory. There is a brave new world of unregulated video. I think it's a good thing. I think it was very tragic last week what happened and these shootings with the police. It was the shootings in Minnesota as well. But the video is really catalyzing the masses. It's creating these social movements. And I think, unfortunately, it's creating these mobs, these violent mobs. But I think it also can be harnessed, and this is the point I made, it can be harnessed for good to promote government transparency. For example, we know that Bill Clinton met with Loretta Lynch. We know that there are bribes of federal judges taking place. Well, that should be live streamed. And we can harness this technology, this live streaming technology, for example, for good. And I'm a representative of an organization, Project Veritas, which is beta testing hidden camera video streaming to our servers. That way, if anything happens, we have a copy of the video. If the law enforcement takes it, we have a copy of it. And I think that this is a power that can be used to promote government transparency as much as it can be used to hold police officers.
Well, I'm all for citizens having hidden cameras. I think making police wear body cams all the time, I wouldn't want to work and live like that. I think it's Big Brother. It sets the precedent for everybody to have that at work, and I don't like it. I mean, I think if a company wants to make you do it, that's your option to do it. And I think police, when they're on calls, should have a camera on for them and everybody else. I used to be for that, but now I realize it'll be selectively enforced, because in liberal areas, when cops do bad things, they just cover it up mostly. But then if it happens in a more freer area, they will then come in and use it as a way to politically take over and kind of cherry pick things. I mean, so I think there's a problem with too many cameras.
I agree with you. I agree with you on that, and I want to make a clear distinction that this is about little brother holding big brother accountable.
Exactly.
Which is the entire point of the American experiment. Giving Big Brother cameras and all that, we've already lost our expectations.
Oh, cops are having to wear body cams in many cities now when they use the bathroom.
That's right. I'm sure they are. And, I think the point Ed Snowden made on Vice recently is he said, Shane Smith asked him, well, why aren't more Americans outraged by all this surveillance? And Ed Snowden said, well, they would be if we had the politicians on tape admitting it in plain words. So the whole point of this technology, and I really think it's a transformative moment in American politics, because the technology is unregulated, it's proliferating. Anybody can live stream video now. Now, we use hidden camera devices that are not, you can't buy them in most stores. But the fact that we can hold Big Brother accountable and make them lose their expectations of privacy, that's what this movement is all about.
Absolutely. They know that at least the people and the Fifth Estate, the new Fifth Estate, are watching. Also, it really allows us to show that the so-called left are the most ignorant, anti-liberal weirdos the world's ever seen. I mean, this is, just the video camera and YouTube and the proliferation of basically everybody getting on it now and having millions of providers of news, not just thousands or hundreds. It's almost like a singularity. It's showing how monstrous the social justice warriors are to a person. I mean, these really are mentally ill, weirdos, bizarro land. I mean, it's even forcing the left, who are more trendy but aren't stupid, to go ahead and admit, okay, something's wrong here. I mean, when you look at Trigglypuff, Ade Skrellick, I mean, when you look at these people, Carl the Cuck, I mean, when you look at these people, they are scary.
A citizen journalist named Mike Strickland was detained. This was covered on your website yesterday for unholstering his gun. He felt threatened. And there were videotapes of the Black Panthers right before he unholstered his gun, threatening to take out their guns. So things are all caught on video. My greater point is that we can use this as a movement for good. And I think,
and they just said down the street, pull your guns out and shoot cops 10 minutes before.
That's right. That happened right before Mike Strickland was arrested. Mike Strickland is sitting in jail. His bail is set at $250,000. Mike Strickland, is a friend of mine. He's worked with me.
And by the way, that's a liberal town, you notice. Now they're throwing the book at him. I mean, it's crazy. So we think if the cops are all bad. Oh, they're not bad when they're liberal cops and allow people to be abused.
Right, and they originally charged him with a misdemeanor for menacing behavior, but then they charged him with 2 felonies. Now, Mike Strickland was assaulted at the last year. He was assaulted. He broke his arm in 3 places. He was tackled to the ground. And right before this event, Black Panther said, take out your guns and use them, basically. So that's all on video. There's a picture of Mike Strickland. He didn't want to hurt anybody. And now
he's got the gun pretty much aimed down at the ground. He's got his hand back saying, stay back, as people say we're pulling guns up.
Right, exactly. So this is a friend of mine, a citizen journalist, but what I draw from that whole thing is that everything is on video.
Who was attacked the year before?
Mike Strickland was assaulted by someone who disagreed with him. Someone disagreed with him and threw Mike Strickland, that guy you just saw, threw him to the ground. He broke his arm in 3 places. He couldn't work for 6 months. So he's been physically, violently assaulted in the past.
And then he just simply says, back off, and they've arrested him. Stay there. Final segment straight ahead with our guests, then your phone calls. Enzo keeps our guests coming up in the next segment. We're opening the phones up to Bernie Sanders supporters. How on earth could you not support Trump when he's totally anti-establishment and Hillary stole the election, stole your votes? They just appointed her in California, just gave her the race there. It's crazy. We're going to be taking your phone calls in the next segment on that and on Mike Pence. That's who I called Roger Stone. He said, I cannot comment. It shouldn't have been leaked. I'm not saying that's who it is. I'm coming on the show tomorrow.